On today's show, we go off the grid in search of an Ontario oasis, an island resort where family tradition trumps all else.
It's a dream. Been chasing it a long time.
Find out what it's like to run Alexander's remote Rowan Lake Lodge. And as one legacy starts, another could be coming to an end. It's a story of fathers and sons.
You just don't want it to end. You want life to slow down.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Family traditions and life outdoors, they really are a perfect match. For my sons, Brady and Bennett, we all like to spend time together in the boat. But for one family up north, their tradition starts with an island and a dream.
I'll go to the end of the earth in search of a good story. Somewhere out there on a remote 60,000-acre Ontario lake, a tale full of fishing lore and, more importantly, family traditions. A story that hides on an island.
Tough place to get to. There's only one way to get here, and that's via an airplane.
That's Pat Alexander. And that's his wife, Cheryl, brand new proprietors of Rowan Lake's oldest island resort. A fly-in fish camp where anglers come to wrestle Canada's freshwater giants.
The best musky fishery on the planet as far as we're concerned. It's a dream. Been chasing it a long time. Yeah, we really have been.
Long ago and far away, Pat's grandparents once owned an Ontario camp.
My mother spoke of it a lot growing up. Every ounce of vacation time that we've ever taken has been in an environment like this.
Pat always wondered if someday he'd run a resort too. Then, the Alexanders had a child, a kid who liked boats and liked fishing poles.
What do you want to do, Chris, when you grow up? I want to be a hunting and fishing guide. And he's never said anything different since. Here we sit.
Well, I must have something somewhere buried down deep inside to really enjoy doing this.
See, Chris left home to work summers as a Rowan Lake dock boy right here in this camp.
14 years old when he first started to work here. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard.
Chris mopped boats, moved guest gear, and guided fishing. But one day, one summer, the camp went up for sale.
Just right place, the right time, let's say.
Chris called home.
He roped me in. He pushed the right buttons.
The Alexanders jumped in and bought the dream.
No crowds, no roads. It's just us and Mother Nature, if you will.
And of course, the planes that shuttle guests all summer long.
There's the man from the south. What's going on, Fitz?
Good morning.
Exactly why the Alexanders are up before the sun 7 days a week.
I'll leave your rods down here or bring them up to the cabin.
well.
Okay.
Greeting guests is the easy part.
There's always something to do around camp.
That self-sufficiency keeps you in business. So does hard work.
No days off, but that's all right. I've been here 3 months now and I don't feel I've worked a day yet.
Well, it's not really work when you're doing something you love.
How many 19-year-olds talk like that?
If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be sitting here and probably wouldn't even know Rowan Lake existed.
we're probably going to leave here in a pine box. We're here for the long run. It took seconds to figure that out when we first looked at the property a year ago. This is a perfect fit. It's just a perfect fit.
Exactly why you'll find Pat and Chris on the dock every time a plane pulls up.
How's it going, sir?
Pat, good to see you. Hi, Gary. I'm back, yep.
It's the lure of life as a lodge owner, especially when you own the island.
Just carry on. We want to see what tomorrow's going to bring.
Up next, Rowan Lake regulars celebrate life on the lake and find out why Canadian fishing trips mean so much to so many families.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers. Jesse Treble's Safe Basements of Minnesota. Evinrude, the official outboard motor of Minnesota Bound. And by Connecticut.
Rowan is an Ontario lake full of tradition. While the Alexander's legacy is just starting at the island resort, another tradition may be nearing its end. It's a fishtail every family can relate to.
Wild is the world where a plane ticket is the only way in or out. Alexander's sits tucked away on a quiet Rowan Lake Island, a beautiful Ontario oasis known for monsters.
It's an amazing sport. I've never seen people as dedicated at one particular species.
Up here, it's all about the lure, or in Mitch Albert's case,
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
the lures.
Just been worked over. It actually swims just fine.
It's the hunt. I love hunting, and this is hunting during the summer. Every cast, there could be a giant behind that bucktail.
Albert's annual tradition chasing Rowan Lake muskies, shared year after year with fellow bait chucker Paul Veith.
And then when he said, let's bring the boys, I said, absolutely, in a heartbeat.
Yep, the boys.
Up here is where we go, all out.
Mitch's son Mitch and Paul's son Riley.
Do you think you're gonna have a girlfriend when you go to college, Ray?
No.
I haven't seen them, all summer, because when they get older, they're so busy, you don't even see them. So I was really looking forward to being in the boat with them for, 5 days straight.
Each summer,
Probably 38, 40.
Yeah.
the Alberts and Veiths travel north to Rowan
Here he comes again.
to share this lake and, more importantly, share time in a boat together.
This is what, my 7th year? I've been coming up since I was like 10 or 11.
I'll go home and my wife will say, what'd you guys all talk about? And I say, it's just being there together and experiencing it together. I can't explain it.
Father and son relationships grown
See if I can't Elbers one out of there.
one cast at a time.
It's bonding time. It's just being with each other and watching him smile, seeing him smile in the front of the boat.
Which is something, considering musky fishing takes serious grit.
I'm a little tired, to be honest. It's a lot of work just throwing those lures all day.
I scratch my head all the time when I'm out there casting, sore shoulder, sunburn. Why do I enjoy this so much? And I can't wait for the next cast. There we go. There we go. Right here, right here. Woo!
This catch leaves dad and son without words.
Obviously, it's awesome when my dad gets to net all my fish, and then nice high five after.
Good job, bud.
Every year I've been up here, he's outfished me. If I catch 2, he'll catch 6.
Nicely done.
I probably would have screwed it up. So I'm glad he got it. He's the guy, he's the finisher.
Like that, the fish goes back.
it goes. Woo. All right. Woo. There we go.
One more emotional memory now in the bank. These kids have been wrestling muskies up here since, well, they were kids. But you know what? They don't stay that way forever.
Oh, there's fish stacked up right here.
There's doubles, huh?
Now, high school graduates and headed off to college, life might lead them away from the Rowan tradition. It is uncertainty
I leave for California the next morning, which, yeah.
all parents can relate to.
My mom has a work trip and she wanted me to come because she's sad I'm leaving for college.
I hope we have a lot more trips up to this lake, no doubt.
This is one of my favorite trips that I get to do. Forward to it every year.
Maybe that's the whole reason we take these trips. They are times shared outdoors, together, right here.
You just don't want it to end. You want life to slow down. You want them to get to a certain age at some point, and then you want everything to slow down, and then it goes faster. You got to enjoy every little bit.
Throw that right on the grill.
Coming up, we get wild in the kitchen with a tasty summer recipe, just right for cabin life.
Ta-da!
Closed captioning is brought to you by Border View Lodge.
It's time to take a break from the boat and get wild in the kitchen with Laura Schara.
Barbecue season is officially here, which means it's burger season. And I'm here with Chef Jim Kimberg from Firelight Grill House and Cocktail Bar, and we are making venison burgers?
Venison burgers.
That sounds delicious. Now, I understand this is just straight up venison.
Straight up ground venison.
So what's in our recipe today?
I like to play off those wild game flavors. You know, venison, especially the farm raised, isn't a real strong flavor, but it does like the fruit and the chutneys and the spices. You know, it really plays well with the natural flavor of the venison.
Okay, so we're gonna grill our burger and we're gonna add a little bit of chutney and spice to it.
We have some lingonberry chutney, we got some fresh horseradish sauce, and we also have some cranberry Munster cheese we're gonna melt over the top of it.
That sounds delicious and gourmet. All right, let's get started.
There you go.
All right, it's time to grill up the venison burger.
Yep.
Now, I have a question for you with
Sure.
seasoning the burger. Do you put the seasoning in before you make the patty or after?
I am a big advocate of after.
Okay, is there a reason for that?
The salt will tend to draw some of that moisture out, especially with venison being such a lean meat.
Keep the moisture in.
Keep the moisture in.
All right.
So we're just gonna throw that right on the grill, and then don't forget to season the other side as well.
So is it time to flip our burger?
Let's take a little peek, see what we got. Oh, looks pretty good to me. What do you think?
Oh, looks perfect. How many minutes was that for each side about?
Probably about 3 minutes.
That's it.
I think we're ready for the lingonberry chutney. I just want maybe a tablespoon and a half on top of that.
Okay, just right on top?
Right on top. There you go.
Now, if we couldn't find lingonberry chutney, what else can we use here?
Cranberry chutney would be great. And that would actually, we got the cranberry Munster cheese on top, so any kind of chutney will work, but lingonberry is my preferred. If you can't find lingonberry, use what's available.
Just find some chutney.
You got it.
All right, Jim, is our burger almost ready?
The burger is ready.
Okay, so we need to add some horseradish to the bun?
Yeah, we have some fresh horseradish sauce. If you want to just spread a little of that on the bottom of the bun.
Is this
you can
a
be
little?
generous with it.
Oh, you can be generous. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I thought horseradish was a little goes a long way, but not this one.
This is kind of mild,
All right.
but great flavor.
Okay. Look at that burger.
Ta-da! You can't have a
Finishing touch.
venison burger without some venison jerky.
Look at that.
there you go.
Gorgeous. Do I get to take a bite of this monster?
If you're brave enough to go in for a bite, go for it.
This is going to be amazingly ladylike. Look at that juicy burger.
That is a juicy burger.
All right, Jim, once again, you have outdone yourself. This is so, so delicious.
Thank
I
you.
love the fact that it's straight venison. Nothing else is mixed with it.
Nothing else.
So there you have it. If you want to get wild in the kitchen, put a little chutney on your venison burgers this summer.
Still ahead, we go to great depths to capture today's Minnesota-bound classic. It's a story about lake monsters.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Ellsworth Cooperative Creamery, Minnesota Rebath, and by Totem Resorts.
Some Minnesota fish like to eat these little guys. You know what they are?
Crayfish.
Yep, exactly. Those are crayfish. But not all are native to our Minnesota lakes. Exactly why Ron Schara headed out in search of an invasive called the rusty crayfish.
In search of Minnesota's monster of the lake. To find it, you ready your scuba gear and prepare to dive to the gloomy depths. Did somebody say lake monster? This is the rusty crayfish. It may not be a monster, but it is an alien creature that is spreading, largely unseen, in many of Minnesota's lakes and rivers. They're big, they're destructive, and they're thick.
Gonna be another pretty good trap. This one's here got about 15, 18 pounds in it. And they're all pretty good size.
Dan Crone and his partner Gene Carlson have a DNR license to trap rusty crayfish out of Minnesota's Rowan Lake chain, a chain that also connects to Leech Lake and Leech to the Mississippi River.
We can catch easily with 45 traps in the lake. We can catch 600 pounds on a trap check. You go back in the afternoon, there's just as many in there as there were in the morning. The hardest part about it is finding a market to sell them.
Turns out lake monsters also are tasty.
The claws have got a lot of meat in them, the tails. You boil them in salt water and use some Cajun seasoning. Some people like them just in the plain salt water.
While eating crayfish tails is popular in Cajun country, Minnesotans have been slow to develop a taste.
They're starting to take on, but it's slow convincing people that they're good to eat.
However, the alien crayfish has not been good for Minnesota. Exotic species experts say the alien crayfish destroys native crayfish.
All the crayfish we've caught out here, I myself personally have never saw Marcellus or blue claw in the traps. They're all the rusties. So they've pretty much replaced the native species that were native to the lake.
Rusty crayfish also may reduce certain fish populations, studies show. In addition, the rusty, with its big claws, will cut down valuable aquatic vegetation.
I've been on the lake, probably 20 years now, and I've noticed through those years that the weed beds on the main lake here have been continually disappearing. And right now you're hard-pressed to find a cabbage weed out here. From what I understand, the rusty crayfish are responsible for that.
At the moment, DNR officials say there are no effective ways to control or eliminate the rusty once it's established in a lake system.
It kind of upsets the whole natural balance of things that, were intended to be here by introducing exotic species.
Maybe the lesson is this: our ability to upset nature has finally reached the bottom.
Interestingly enough, the rusty crayfish is native to Ohio, but it somehow got here and also up into Ontario. Well, that about does it for this week. Ron and Raven are back next week. In the meantime, boys,
Don't forget to introduce the kids to a great outdoors.
That's right.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.